Welcome back, my friend. This is Mr. Running in the world of toys. And today is time for another episode of my show together, guys. Welcome, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned right now for a special version of my show. If you love Masters of the Universe, don't miss this episode. Because my guest is a special cosplayer of Master of the Universe characters like She-Ra and Adora. And her name is Rebekah Cox. Welcome, Rebekah, to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you to be on my show. And the first question that I did for every guest that I had in this show, for every artist, is how you discover your talent. Tell me that.
Oh, my talent. I've literally been, I know this sounds kind of cliche, but I've literally been making costumes and dressing up and drawing and illustrating ever since I was a little kid. Like when I was little, I had my sister make me a Red Sonja outfit and I had a Xena outfit and I would just run around and play with those.
Cool. And so you when you was a kid, you start to enjoy that. That's
Yep.
super cool. I love
Yep.
it. Also, I understand that because, for example, when I was a kid with my brother,
Hmm.
for example, to us was a never-ending carnival, no? Because
Yeah.
every day we wear costume for. Oh, guys, sorry, but there is some phones that I don't know where is this phone. It continues to ring. So rings. Don't know where is this phone. I try to discover where is this phone, but still impossible to understand where it is. So I said, this is a little
It's coming
phone that I use.
from another dimension somewhere.
Exactly. Maybe it's some correct for the action. And by the way, what is behind you? I see is sounds
This
there is
this is a
this one.
costume right behind me.
Okay,
That's my
because
husband's costume.
I wondered it was looks like a statue of some character.
Yeah, it's a mannequin in a costume. We've got a lot of those around our house. In our
Awesome.
hallway,
So
there's a robot, and then there's a leprechaun in our guest bedroom. So,
you're a collector too, also of action figures.
yeah, yeah, I collect
For
the
which
vintage.
one do you collect?
I collect the vintage Masters of the Universe classics, and of course the Princess of Power. And then I've really been into collecting the Mondo figures lately.
Okay, what do you think, for example, about the work of the Four Horsemen with Master of the Universe?
Four Horsemen are, if I had my choice, I would always give th- that to them because they're like I've loved everything they've done with Masters of the Universe, you know. And then they've had their little from their what is it called Mythic Legions figures where they've had their homages to like Shira and Hordak and Stinkor and Mossman and all of them. So even those were like really cool.
Yes, I'm a big fan of Mythic Legions, by the way.
Love it.
I started to collect them last April after an interview with CB Corboy, Eric Corboy of For Osman, and later I become like a little kids, very excited for this figure because they are so detailed. Each figure of Mythic Legions, but also Master Wonder classes, however, are
Yeah.
a piece of art, and I like that so much because the details, the paint job, everything is that's super cool.
Yeah, totally.
And tell me something about what is the step to create, for example, a costume that you have right now of Adora. What is the steps to create your version of a character?
Well, I'm an artist, so I like to give any costume I make like from let me step back a little bit. I love making characters that are cartoons because it's like, oh, you get to turn this into something real. How would that fabric be made out of? Like, oh, I can turn that into leather. Like, this is all leather, this red, just to give it that more real world feel to it, but without changing the design. Like staying true to the design, but just adding texture and weathering and everything to it.
And before you sketches your costume, or what is the process
Yes,
before?
always, always, always start with a sketch, and it goes from like, oh, this is the filmation version, and then I add like, oh, little details on it like this that aren't in there, but it's not messing up the design. It's not messing up the overall look. And like, oh, I can make these look like padding for like carrying her sword on and everything.
But for example, to do a costume like that, so you show me the gauntlets right here, no?
Yeah,
These
yeah, and
are
like add
these
in
for
like
each details you did each details, or there's
yes.
something that all of you, so you put together all this stuff.
Mhm. Everything was handmade except for this little bodysuit that I bought, the white. 'Cause you can get those pretty much anywhere, but yeah, all this leather work and everything is what I did. I actually love working with leather.
Awesome, awesome, because it looks like that you got this costume for like a costume is for some theater show, for example. So it's
Oh, thanks.
perfect. I love it.
Thank you. I try to
And
like think. I always think like, okay, if I was making this for a movie, what would I make it look like? I don't think you need to change the character design so much to translate it to a movie, unlike a lot of people say.
what is because I saw also in your social media page that you also um, play the other side. You can see also in background
Mhm.
the other side of Adora Shira. What is your
Yep.
favorite between these two sides of the moon, the two sides of the same the same person?
Um, I see. I see them both one and the same. I think it's a really good question. It's fun. I see them both one and the same. It's just, I guess Shira's more. It's a hard question to answer. Sorry. I'm trying to think of the differences between them
Because I
because
think
there
they
isn't
are the two different sides of the same character. Because Adora is like the
more soft
human
and
being,
feminine.
as
I
a,
would
a
say,
human being side of also of Shira, because she's more fragile with more
and you can hear that in Melanie's Brit's voice. It's very soft and
exactly.
poetic, and then she gets that deep, wonderful voice of Shira that just encompasses everything feminine and strong, and I just love that voice. But yeah, I think
If
that
you, what is your reaction when, if you remember in the beginning the storyline, Shira was a part of the Horde in the storyline.
yeah,
When you in the beginning, when you do you remember the first time that you saw that and your
hmm
reaction of that?
yeah, I was a little kid when I saw Secret of the Sword, and I liked how she was never evil. You know, like I know in later incarnations of it, they made her quite evil, and just her being good by nature is always, I always liked that about her, and they had to manipulate her to do bad things because she wouldn't willingly do bad things. It's like
So
always being good and pure at heart.
also because she joined the Horde because of some spell of the Shadow Weaver in the
hmm
story. Actually,
Yeah, she's yeah. I've always thought about like, oh, if I did a live action movie, like I would do this and that and show more of that, flesh that out of like them manipulating her, telling her like, oh, these villagers are bad, they did this, and Shadow Weaver casting spells on her and making her see things that aren't there. And I think that would be playing more on that whole manipulation of it, and then that whole I love that whole her breaking out of it and her realizing it, and then she has that Shadow Weaver casts that spell on her again. It makes her forget like about He-Man, but He-Man's there, and she's like, I know this connection to this person, and she's stronger than that magic overall and that bond between them. is
Yes,
stronger than
that's
that.
true. That, and also I think that speaking of the filmation show, sometimes the Shadow Weaver looks more evil than Ordak himself sometimes, because Ordak sometimes become a little bit goofy sometimes in the storyline.
Yeah, yeah. Like when he turns into a rocket and everything, it gets a little overboard with that. But I love the design of Shadow Weaver. Shadow Weaver is one of my favorite of the villains. She's it's such a good, creepy, classic, scary design.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
She remember me because in general I love each filmation show. So also Iman and Shira obviously, but also Brave Star, Filmation
Mm-hmm.
Ghostbusters. And for example, if you remember also Filmation Ghostbusters Primeval, the evil leader of the ghost in the
Mm-hmm.
show, he wear a cape, a red cape that remember a little bit also Shadow Weaver, because the style of this show, there's something similar because the brain behind the filmation is the same, so you can recognize the style, the design, the same design. So I like so much for it. But there is some evil character of a Master of the Universe that you play as a cosplayer.
I haven't done a villain yet, but I want to do Chakotay.
Oh,
That
Shikoti.
would be a
Oh,
cool one. I want to do that for Halloween and have my husband be masked.
you need. I think it's not easy put together this costume for Shikoti.
I can do it. I've painted myself different colors before. I've been the Corpse Bride and an Orion Slave Girl, and so I'm used to painting myself. I've gotten that down to a T. And then yeah, most of it would be pretty easy. Like this is all sewing. This costume, this is what I would consider actually an easy costume because it's 100% sewing and then just painting and weathering. Whereas Shira was molding, sculpting, you know, sculpting all this, sculpting the emblem on, making everything smooth and perfect and look like armor.
Cool. And I saw, speaking of Shira, I saw also that you played also the William Stout version that we never see in the movie Shira. That's correct?
Hmm. Yep.
Tell me something about this story and why you decide to cosplay something that never happened on the screen.
I'm a huge fan of William Stout, and I know it's not a popular opinion, but I do love the '87 movie and all of the work he's done on that movie. And I just, I was so fascinated by that design that he did, and I'm like, I want to do that. And I told him, I'm like, well, if you come to PowerCon, I'll do that costume for you, you know? And it did. It worked. He's like, oh, you're right. I came to PowerCon. So,
Oh, super cool. By the way, I like that movie because, like today for Revelation, we need to. I think that the problem of sometimes of the audience, the crowd, that go to the show to with the to what because they want to see the same stuff that they know before. No, this is the typical problem. So obviously, if you watch the 1987 movie to watch a translation in real person of the filmation, obviously it's not the same. Also because the intention of William Stout was to do something different, not the same stuff that we saw in filmation.
mm-hmm.
But if you watch this movie with good vibes, first of all, but especially to watch something, a new way to love this world, that work, because I like the new characters that William Stout put in the show, like Blade, Karg,
Oh,
Sorad. That's
yeah.
super
Sorod
cool.
and Blade are like two of my favorite Masters of the Universe characters. So, like,
Very
of all
cool.
time.
And also the action figure, in my opinion, the William Stout series by Super 7,
They're
they
gorgeous.
did with the for awesome design, with the license of William Stout, they were super cool. They did the Karg, the Golden God Skeletor, the golden
Hmm.
version of Skeletor. What is the first reaction when you was a kid and watched that movie? Because some scene for a kids looks like scary, especially when Skeletor become so powerful. Tell me
Yeah,
something about
I
it.
wasn't scared at all by it. Yeah, I just thought it was cool. You know, it took a lot to scare me as a kid. I'm trying to think of what scared me. I could watch Legend and The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, and I wasn't scared of anything in it. You know,
You mean
I think
Legend?
aliens might have scared me a little bit,
Really,
but
the Legend? Do you mean the movie Legend with Tom Cruise? That movie, you mean?
yeah, yeah. My parents thought I'd be terrified of it, but I watched it and I was like, it's cool. I guess if it's more so fantastical like that, it's less scary to me. To where like I don't know why the aliens were more creepy to me than like the more fantastical creatures. If that makes sense.
Okay. What do you think about Stephen King? Speaking of scary,
Stephen King. I
yes.
like
Do you
Stephen
like
King,
him?
well enough. I'm not like, oh, I love Stephen King. I'm not a huge fan, but I like it well enough. My favorite is definitely Carrie of his.
Carry On. Also,
Mhm.
Misery is a beautiful, beautiful book and beautiful
Misery's
movie.
great. Yeah. I actually did a costume of Carrie for Halloween one year.
Oh, cool.
Very
So
easy.
tell me something about the different franchise that you meet with your work as a cosplayer. Something also not only master but also in general. In which many different story use which.
I really love sci-fi, so I do a lot of Star Wars and Star Trek costumes. And um, one of my favorite genres is sword and sorcery. Like I said, when I was a little kid, I had a Bridget Nielsen Red Sonja costume because I loved that movie as a little kid, and I loved the Conan movies as a little kid. So I just ran around. I That wasn't for Halloween or anything. I just wanted that costume, so my sister made it for me, and I just ran around with my wooden sword. But um, I pretty much it's sci-fi and fantasy for me, definitely. Like right now and throughout my whole life, that's been what I've been attracted to the most. Never been that
Okay.
much into anime or um, certain other things. It's just those two things have been the primary interests for me.
And what is the most difficult character that you play? The most difficult character to realize in general of every
Uh,
character that you play before.
that would definitely be the Metropolis robot. That's like,
Okay.
yeah, me and my boyfriend built my husband. We just got married. Gotta call him my husband now. He and I built that together, and that was a project. It was a full, the Metropolis movie. The
Yes.
Yeah, so fully covered. I can't move. It's the way she's built is like I can only move like this, and I have like pinholes that I can see through, and I have like these giant geisha like shoes.
Wow.
It's a challenge to wear, and it was a real challenge to make. So I can't wear it without him. It's not just something I can put on by myself. I need a handler for that one because. And people think like when they see me in it because I'm so tiny, they're like, "Is that a person in there?"
Cool. But what do you think about, as an artist, what do you think about the challenge? To me, for example, I think that challenge is a big opportunity to expand your talent, to become a bigger, to give a bigger push for your creativity. Because in front of a challenge, you can stop or you can you can pass through this challenge. What is your opinion about the challenge?
I'm always challenging myself. I'm like, I can't stick with one thing, and I've painted, and I'm like, okay, I know how to paint now. Now I want to make costumes. Okay, I know how to make costumes. Now I want to sculpt and make art dolls and make posable dolls, and yeah, I'm always challenging myself. I'm always trying to paint, something different. I'm like, okay, I mastered this style of painting. Now I want to master this style of painting. And that goes in like anything I do, the costumes, the artwork, the art dolls, the sculptures.
Cool. I saw also you mentioned before that you played also the Corpse Bride from Tim Burton. And you
Yeah.
use a lot of paint on your face to do that. Tell me something about that. What is the process to create the perfect paint when you need to play a character like this one?
So what I use isn't actually like a paint, it's an ink. And it sounds like it doesn't stain your skin, you can take it off, but it's a body ink by Real Creations that I use, and it's alcohol based. And then We have a spraying gun that sprays it on, so I'm not sitting there painting, so you don't get those strokes in it, and you get an even coverage. But yeah, I stand there and John paints me blue. I put my hair up, and for the corpse ride, it's my whole face, my upper body, and then the one arm, because the other arm is covered by a black stocking and the bone that I have protruding off of it, and then that gets glued down to that. But yeah, it's hours of painting and then hours of doing like the wide-eyed makeup and everything.
Oh, cool. Cool is an art job behind the scene. That's typical of each type of art because when you listen a song, you don't know what is the work behind that or behind a book. And also
Right.
to play a character like this one, maybe you understand that because when you see a lot of makeup, a lot of stuff on your body, you discover, you understand, you can wonder that there is a lot of job behind, not
Right.
only to create the costume, but also to create yourself in this new shape.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and when I watch movies now, well, I've always loved to watch movies just for the effects and the makeups and everything, Like The Fly, when I watch The Fly and when I watch The Thing or The Blob, I'm not like, "Oh, that's so gross." I'm just looking at the effect. And like people ask me like, "How can you stomach some of this stuff?" And I'm like, I'm watching it as the effect. It's so good, because I can appreciate what goes in behind it, and I'm fascinated by that, and I would love to learn that kind of stuff. That's another thing on my list, like to challenge myself is I want to get into more practical effects and short filmmaking in the future.
Cool. And what is your favorite character that you played until now?
Um, my favorite one, probably Shira,
And tell me also why is your favorite.
because I've always wanted to be Shira. Like I said, I had a Red Sonja costume when I was little. I had a Xena costume, a Wonder Woman costume, but I always wanted two. I always wanted three. I always wanted, but never had was Batgirl, Supergirl, and Shira. So those were like the first costumes that I made when I started making costumes, and I was always like hesitant to do Shira because I'm really short, and I was like, oh, I'm too short to be Shira. And then I was just like, I'll get some tall shoes. So I got like giant shoes, and when I put that armor on, I feel like Adora transforming into Shira. I feel powerful just putting that on. It's crazy and it sounds kind of silly, but it's true. I feel like I told my boyfriend, I'm like, I never felt as beautiful as I do when I'm Shira, and it's not just like, oh, the way I look. It's just I feel powerful.
Cool. I like this situation like, that you feel like your character when you portray that. It's
Hmm.
cool
Because normally I'm a
because
very, very shy person, and I'm very quiet and soft spoken like Adora. So I guess I feel like I'm transforming into Shira when I put that costume on.
that's cool. It's the magic of the art, by the way, because for example, when I work on my novel, I become like someone that watch this world in another dimension. So when I portray some character in my show, become my character because it's something special in the art that you forget the real life to become something different, but something different that in some way still real because the art is another reality, but it's also another true reality.
Right, right. Maybe I'm just an actor at heart, and I'm just like using my cosplays to portray different characters.
Cool. And what is sorry, I drink my water right now. It's
No,
just
that's
a
okay.
water.
I'll drink my coffee.
You never dreamed to play a character like Kasha, for example?
No, I do. I've thought about so many characters. If I do a villain from Shira, it'll be Intrepida. She's my favorite
Kasha.
villain. Yeah,
Okay.
because I love to do that big purple hair, and my favorite version of her is actually the toy. So I'd make like the gold metal armor, and then like the purple skirt, and then the gold boots. I think that would be really cool.
And when you, for example, when you need to change the color of your hair, what is the your choice? You change your colors, or you find some wing that can work very well for these characters?
Yeah, I
For example.
find good wigs. They
Okay,
always get lace front wigs so that it looks natural.
cool. How many time to prepare yourself? I think it depends of the karate that you play, but in general, what is the time of your transformation?
Depends on what costume I'm wearing. Like the corpse bride will take a couple hours.
Wow.
Dora only takes an hour, just to do my regular makeup and get dressed up. Shira's just a little longer than Adora because even though it took so long to make, it's not doesn't take long to get suited up in that. Um, Metropolis robot I can get changed in 7 minutes because there's not a lot of prepping. It's just putting the armor on. That yeah, it varies. It depends on what character I'm making. Anytime it's body paint or like crazy makeup, it takes way longer.
Cool. I believe maybe the is more difficult. The time get more time, maybe the makeup than the dressing a costume. I believe.
Yeah, not to make it like it takes months and months to make a costume, but to get suited up, it didn't take that long.
Now, how many months take make a costume in general, or maybe what is the longest
Um,
costume that you created? Longest time to
Probably
create.
3 months is when I made how long it took us to make the Metropolis robot, and like Shira probably took me about an overall like condensed down. Like I took breaks here and there. I would say probably a month or two.
Okay, I give you sort of message, only a message for the guys that watch right now. Guys, continues to put your question in the live section, because in the last 10 minutes about that, Rebecca, aka Adora, tonight will answer all your questions, guys. So because I saw right now some question, but later will be at the opportunity to, as usual, guys. Because if you follow my show, you know for each guest there is this schedule in general. You never try to portray a male character?
A male character?
Yes.
Let me think. I've done some silly costumes. Like I made a Vincent Price costume for Halloween, and I've done the Leprechaun just this past Halloween. So yeah, I've done some male characters.
And what is in general you decide which character you want to play, or sometimes someone commits to you to play this character, maybe for some convention or whatever?
Almost, I would say 95% of the time, it's just characters that I love. I would never just do a character that I was like, about. It's all the characters I do are characters I really, really love. Um, a couple exceptions for that would be my now husband. Back then, he wasn't suggested to me to do the character of Mattel from Galaxy Express, and I didn't know what it was. But he's like, "Oh, you look just like you have long blonde hair," and so I did that just to be a part of his group. But then I ended up liking the character a lot and just loving that costume that I made.
Cool. And we talked about that a little bit before the stream, but tell to us how, because also your husband is a cosplayer. So tell
Hmm.
me how you meet each other, say you discover this mutual passion for to do cosplay.
Yeah, well, we've always kind of had like mutual friends, but we didn't like know each other that well. Um, and then one time at a party, we just started talking, and we learned that we both like costume making. And he asked me, "What would be your dream costume to make?" And I said, "Well, one of them would be the Metropolis robot." And he was like, "Well, that's one of mine." So we're like, well, let's build it together for me to wear because he's a man. Obviously, he's a tall man. He can't play a female robot. So he's like, well, that gives me a chance to work on it, like I've always wanted to do, but it'll be your costume kind of thing. So that's kind of how we met. And then it just grew
Oh,
from there. We just worked together. We were best friends for a long time, and then we became a couple, and then we got married just recently.
is a beautiful love story of it,
Yeah.
with two guys that have the same passion, the same
Hmm.
type of arts. It's like a dream come true. It
It is.
could be a material to a possible novel, no? Because of that. maybe for a novel you need to put some drama, some maybe some because could be just to just a speculation, but it's a typical of a writer speculate for each possible story. For example, it could be a good story, but with some paranormal stuff because to cosplayer could be involved in something like that. Maybe a cosplay costume it become magic and maybe open some door in another dimension just for fun.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
And you never played normal character, so a normal, I mean, a character like a movie, but it's not a sci-fi of a fantasy movie.
um, no, no, it's always like the most like normal character I dressed up as was this Halloween. One of my costumes was Sabrina from the new show, but she's a witch and it's a fantasy show still, so it's like that's the most normal.
Cool. What is the last one, except for tonight, but the last new character that you played?
The last big one that I made was William Stout Shira.
Oh, cool. What is the reaction of William when saw this version, this
Well, I
cosplay?
let him know I was gonna make it, so and I sent him a picture once it was done, and he was like, "That's amazing." And then when he saw it in person, he just gave me a big hug, and he was like, "This is amazing." And he wanted a picture with me, and he got a picture of me with holding his art print, and then we just sat and talked for like hours.
Cool. I think it's awesome. Maybe a dream come true for you because you, like me, you was a fan of the movie,
Hmm.
and then you become friend with him, and also he was excited because you played very well a character that he drawing, and
Hmm.
especially it's interesting because a character that we never seen in the show because budget stuff. Because William told me that was planning more scene on Eternity in that movie with Shira, but many stuff was cut because of
Yeah.
the budget rules that there is in movie land. So I think I can understand always your feelings at that moment with William. So very cool.
Uh, it was awesome. He's
Yeah.
he's just a natural treasure, William Stout. I can listen to him talk just forever, just the story after story after story, and his experiences in life. Like
Yes,
he's just a
it's,
national treasure.
and I know very well that because we did together two episodes of my show, and both episodes were 2 hour and a half, or sometimes almost 3 hours. And in the end, there's still more story to talk with him. So he will
Yeah,
return in the future. By the way, because he has a lot of story about. He told me an interesting story about Arnold Schwarzenegger also because he worked on Conan the Barbarian, and he told me that during the shooting of the movie, the director watched Arnold at the time was a very muscular man because at the time was a young bodybuilder, and the director was a little bit not comfortable about something, and Arnold was able to understand that before that that
yeah,
the director talking something about that. So you something is interesting that behind the scene you discovered interesting quality like for Schwarzenegger that you never wondered if you watch just the public version of him, but was very sensitive to discover the thoughts of the people that work with him. Told me that William for that was
hmm
super cool.
yeah. I know the story you're talking about where he was like, "What's wrong?" And the director's like, "Oh, nothing." He's like,
Exactly.
"I'm too muscular, right? You need me to trim down a little bit to look more like the comic book." And so he did, and he's like, the next week he came by and he was trimmed up here and just here and like right in all the right spaces. And I was telling William, I'm like, "Whoa, bodybuilding in itself is an art form. That's their art. They can sculpt themselves in that way, any way they want to." And
Awesome.
Arnie was probably the master of that art form.
Yes, absolutely super cool. The story is super cool. So he talks he told the same story with me and you also this one, but
Hmm.
because we talks a lot about that, and there is some character of the the movie of Conan that you want to play or you played before? Female character of the movie.
I would love to do the Valkyrie version of Valeria at the end, where she's very Shira like when she's got the feathers and she's standing there. She's like, "Do you really want to live forever?" I'd love to do that. That was a gorgeous costume. And I would love to do a revisit Bridget Nielsen's Red Sonja. It'd just be hilarious because, again, I'm so little. But I love it, so I think it'd be fun to do.
Cool. And speaking about the evil girl, evil bad girl of Master of the Universe, you never play it, or you want to play it, maybe a character like Evelyn?
Yeah, I've thought about doing Evil Lyn before. I just I like to do things different sometimes. So if I chose one, I would be Shikote over Evil Lyn. I think because
I
Shikote was a
think
badass, and I've never seen that done before.
Shikote could be a more interesting choice because it's a little more deep cut in the
Yes,
show. Because Shikote maybe appears in just one episode, I believe, or two episodes. Maybe it was
yeah, two-parter episode.
it's a two-part. Yes, I remember that. So it should be interesting. Ring the bell when you do that because I won't see that.
Definitely.
Maybe the next time if you return, I won't see you like a Shikote. It could be
That'd be fun to put the black contacts in and the vampire teeth and everything.
cool. For example, to do something like that, you can create this the teeth, this stuff. What is the process to create this stuff that work very well your mouth or your eyes? What is the
I would
secret
get
to do
they
that?
have the wide contact lenses. I've got some of them. They're pure black and they go inside the hole of your eye. They're very uncomfortable, but they look really cool. And they make the entirety of your eye black. And then for the teeth, they sell just uh, the little caps, not obviously the big goofy ones, but like they have small caps to add just there and there, and you can make your own. So they're pretty easy to make vampire teeth. I've even seen some people use really clever ways. I've seen them get ladies fake fingernails that you can just get at Walmart, and then they sharpen them down and then just glue them to their teeth. They fall off eventually.
So when you see a character that you want to play, you start to imagine to project how to do that immediately. What is the process when you see a character you think I want to play that? What is the process? You start to think about how to do that immediately. You have the solution immediately, or you find the
um,
solution after
no,
some step.
I usually let it brew a little bit and come up with different ideas for it. Draw a ton. I'd make so many drawings and different designs that I would want to do to it. And the funny thing is, like, I was doing that with Shira, and I was drawing these different designs and everything, but it always kept going back to the filmation because nothing else looked as good to me as staying with the classic design. I did like, oh, I could add details up here, and I could make shoulder pads, or I could do like uh, Wonder Woman esque skirt kind of thing. And I was like, every time I would go back to the original design because that's what looked right for me. And I think that I don't think there's a reason to change the way a character looks. Like, I see a lot of people saying, like, Shira's costume would never work in a live action movie. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, Wonder Woman pretty much has the same costume right now. And it's working pretty well. So I don't think you
Cool.
need to stray that much from it. Unless you
And
just artistic liberties, like William Stout had, where if you give it to somebody like William Stout, and that man, he's gonna take it to a whole new universe. And
maybe
and I love his design.
you can ask William to create a new character for you to play. It
Oh,
should
that'd
be
be awesome.
interesting. Should be
That'd be
interesting.
awesome.
I understand that you like also drawing. You drawing also other stuff or only to sketches your costume?
No, I do paintings. I've been on book covers before. Um, I do mostly fantasy paintings, and right now I have a couple that I'm working on. I really need to get back to painting. I've let it slip uh, for too long. I need to get right back into it, but I have some paintings I need to dust off and finish that are in my closet.
Yes, I know that it's different, difficult. Stay on different way of our creativity. For example, as a writer, sometimes I haven't the time to continue my novel because I need to do a video for this channel, for the other channel.
Exactly.
So it's not easy to have the time to do everything because
Yeah.
the
My
art
mind's in a million places, but my body gets tired and I can't do everything in one day.
and also because in general the art take over on the life of the artist. This is the problem also.
Absolutely. Exactly.
So you, for example, like me, I'm a guy that I go to sleep with the sunrise, especially in the winter. I wake up with the sunset, looks like that because I work in the
Um,
night.
I struggle with that too.
Yes,
I don't know what it is
and
about my creative brain. It just works good at night, and I try to fix my sleep schedule, but it's not easy. I'm a
it's
night
not
owl
easy
by.
because the art call you and says continue to follow in the
Hmm.
river of creativity.
Yeah, do you do the same thing? I lay down in bed and my head starts turning, and I'm like, you need to get up and work on that thing. And
Yes,
like, I
because
can't
the
sleep.
idea
Hmm.
the idea is growing up. And you create, you never create, or maybe you ever create a character that you play later.
Oh, like something I create?
Yes,
I haven't yet. I want to though. I have some ideas for things, but mostly it's just making characters that I love. Bringing things to life is one of my favorites. Instead of I do love recreating things like I'm gonna be recreating a Linda Carter Wonder Woman outfit, and that's just pure fun. Super easy costume to make. Just recreating that is fun. It's like, oh, every stitch is exactly like hers. But my favorite thing is doing like taking William Stout's sheer, which is just a drawing, and like, oh, well, if I use that fabric, that'll really bring that part out and make this part metal, and translating that into reality in something practical.
that one was a big challenge because it's different than the played a character from the show. That you
Yeah.
have many scenes to watch a little bit better, how to schedule the costume. No,
Yeah.
so it's a big challenge because you have only the front of the character,
Mhm.
and maybe not details like because in the show you can see the show and do some screenshot for every side of the costume, and no, I
Yeah,
believe
yeah,
it's something like that.
exactly. But that also gives you a lot of creative liberty, and I'm friends with Bill, so with William, so I can be like, "Hey, what's this supposed to be?" He's like, "Oh, that's a gun holster and a pistol." And I'm like, "Okay, thanks."
You're lucky also because of that, because of
Yeah.
the advice of William. And when you create a costume, when you draw in your sketches, or when you put together the costume, you use the silence to still focus, or you use music, or listen podcasts and stuff like that. What is
I
your
definitely like to listen to music when I'm painting and when I'm drawing. Like, I can work in silence, like if it's a beautiful day outside and there's like rain or there's like a lot of birds and it's just like windy or something. That's always very, very inspiring to me. But I love listening to music whenever I'm
yes,
painting.
the rain, also the wind are the music of the nature.
Uh, just um, just the sound of nature. That's always inspiring to me. But I do love the sound of rain. That's very relaxing to me. That kind of goes back to like the whole I work at night because it's peaceful and you know no one's going to interrupt you. The rain kind of feels like that too. You know everybody's inside. It's time to just be closed away into yourself.
Yes, that's true. Also, when it's snowing, when there is the snow outside,
Oh yeah,
it's
I
this
would
is
know. I'm in Florida. It doesn't snow here. I would love it if it did, but I can imagine how wonderful that would be.
where I live. Yes, because I live in a little town in North Italy,
Hmm.
near close to the mountains. So in the winter, it's possible the snowing, and I like that. But also, sometimes I saw snowing also in a city, in a big city, when this with snow so well. The snow change not only the shape and the color of everything, but also of the sound. Looks like there is more silence with the snow, and I
Oh,
like these feelings of the snow in general.
yeah, that's what the rain kind of feels like. Like you just hear the rain, everything else gets quiet.
So now is we are we have the last 15 minutes, so we take a closer
Hmm,
look of the question, maybe from the fan.
that went by really fast. I was having fun
Yes,
talking to you. I like
and
engaging with other creative people. It's very
yes,
inspiring.
because you feel something similar with other artists.
Yeah,
I
a
understand that.
connection.
It's the reason why I like this show because to meeting artists is interesting because the artists are the same way to watch the world a little bit. There is this one from Joe Amato. Shouldn't the transfer? Sorry for my English, it's not perfect. Because by the way, I learned English with wrestling, so my English is like, what you gonna do, brother? However, shouldn't the transformation from Adora to Shira be instantaneous once you hold up your sword? Is just a fun question.
Yeah, I got the sword right here, and I had it signed by
Wow.
Melanie Britt.
This is a replica. This where you got this beautiful
I
sword?
I made the sword.
You made this
Hmm.
one. Wow.
Yeah, it's
It's
I
super
made an
cool.
expanded PVC sheet, so it's a little heavy. But this one's going on display now. This one I can't carry out because Melanie
Because
Britt signed it. So this one's on display. I got to make a new one for taking to conventions with me now.
how much time take you do this sword?
The sword, like a couple weeks.
Okay. But where
Yeah.
you got the material? For example, the orb looks like a real orb.
We have a Kinko's Plastic near us, and I sell the expanded PVC sheets that we get, and then we just sit there. We get PVC sheet, bondo, and glazing putty, and let me hold it up. So it's all made out of that. There's some wood, like this part is wood. These were those little round things that come in your deodorant bottles. So I stuck them on there and then sculpted around them using epoxy sculpt to smooth it out and make it seamless. And then tons and tons and tons and tons of sanding and cutting, and then
Wow, because
yeah,
looks like a one piece. It's very
hmm,
uniform. It's a big uniform. The shape. I never
yeah,
wondered that the handle is in wood in different
yeah.
material
This
than
is
the
wood.
rest.
This is plastic. This is all uh, epoxy sculpt. I had to think about it there. And this is expanded PVC sheet, and this is
Wow,
this part, and then this is
and
just
also you
resin.
did an awesome job because looks like a replica produced by some company. Very
Oh,
cool.
thank you.
Back to the question. This one. From John Mato again. What is your least favorite Master of the Universe figure? Mine is Stratos.
He's messing with me because he knows I like Stratos. I can't think of a one I don't. My least favorite. It's so hard to choose a least favorite. I don't know. Trying to think of one I don't like, but I
One
love
I don't.
Stratos.
You don't like no me my character they don't like so much. Maybe um, what is the main? I believe Rio Blast was the name. The guy, the
Rio
cowboy guy,
Blast.
the open because I have this figure. It's
Hmm.
not a bad figure, the vintage one, no, but looks like not so related with Master of the Universe. Looks like more a Braystar character.
I
So
can
this
understand.
cowboy, space cowboy in MOTU, to me, it looks like a little bit weird, but not
Hmm.
because it's bad the character of the design, but because it's maybe is good for another type of show. Braystar, for example,
Yeah,
I love Braystar by the way, but in Master of the Universe it looks like weird.
yeah. I'd have to think about that because I don't want to. I love something about them all. Like I can't think of one that I'm like. I'm not a fan of. You know.
Do
I
you
don't
have
want to.
also do you have also the play set of Master of the Universe?
Oh yeah, I've got Castle Grayskull and Crystal Castle, and I love the Dragon Walker. Mine still works, and I scared my cats with it. Put
I
it
have,
on the
for
ground, they
example,
freak out.
I have the Snake Mountain play set by Super 7. It's a huge play set.
Oh, I wanted that. I couldn't afford that one. I'll get the expensive toys from Mondo because they're releasing them so spread apart, and they're not. It's like, oh, I can drop $200 there. I can drop 160 here, but I can't afford $600 Snake Mountain. But then I'm like, with my creativeness, I'm like, I can make my own.
Cool, cool.
I can make my life size snake.
Maybe you it's time to do maybe a cartoon accurate fry zone for Ordak because we never had
I
that.
want to get in. I do toy customs too, and I really want to get into playsets. Like I really want to make the Shira bubble carriage that never came out, and like the Whispering Wood playset that never came out.
Wow,
So
wow.
that would be fun stuff to make.
So you did also custom figures
Hmm.
also. Cool. Tell me some. Do you have something to show me there?
Yeah, like 1 second.
She will return in a few minutes, guys. I play music few seconds.
This is a Huntara that I made.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I
Which
wanted
ad, which ad do you use to create this ad of Antara?
the head. This was
Yes.
just I can't remember. The thing is, I buy lots of like damaged dolls because I feel bad taking like a doll that's in good condition and like painting her up and everything. So I think this was a Catra head who had her hair like cut. So to cover up the because where the hair is, there's holes. So I just used epoxy sculpt to fill that in so that it looks
Cool.
like she's bald, and then I sculpted that on top.
Very cool.
Thank you.
But you have also this other creative side in yourself. For example, I create with my friends because I'm not good with to sculpt everything. I'm not good for that. But with my friends, I create some character for custom figures, but for wrestling because I like wrestling of the old golden era of the 80s. And so with
Mm,
him, we created some Hasbro styles figure of some characters that we they never was before in that line. So I do some custom, but with my friends is a sculptor because I'm not a sculptor. I do different stuff with arts, but not with that. Another question. I like when Rebecca says she feels strong as Shira. They say clothes make the person. Anna Rebecca, can you tell me more about how you feel when you dress well, dress up? So it's a question
um,
for both. Give you the answer.
if you mean like every day, I do like to dress up. Not like go crazy with makeup and everything every day, but I do like to look presentable. But in costumes, yeah, costume totally makes me feel different than how I feel normally. It's feel
and to,
like you were saying about acting. I feel like I'm playing a different character, and it feels like I can let loose more. I'm not as shy.
yes, to myself in general, for depend of the stuff I do. For example, when in this channel I have different look for the channel of wrestling. I little more basic bandana headphones because another type of show. It's just because in the other channel I I do every day, almost every day, but in the weeks maybe three, four, five, depend of how many shows of wrestling there are. I do my live reaction, so you have my t-shirt of wrestling, headphones, bandana, and other stuff. But in this channel, I create this character of myself with the top hat, the sunglasses. I like the dark colors in general, or put in the dark colors some shade of dark or bright line color that pops up very well from the dark. So this is my
Nice.
style in general.
I like
Uh,
that you make different characters
Different channel,
for
yes,
different
because it's
channels.
two
That's good.
different Alan,
That
so I need to split
yeah, it gives it
myself.
a different personality almost. Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Also, when I did my concert in the past, I worked with models, violinists, girls in general. Was each of girls in my show, for example, a model, a dancer, or a violinist or a musician. Each of them have a character, so they need not only play a violin, but portray a character in the show. And also myself, I use different costumes because for each song or almost each song I played a different character or different side of
Ah.
myself. And for that I design also the I could design, I create the video like a background video that was a part also the story of the concert. So it was a concert with a storyline inside, some stuff
Mm,
like that.
I like that.
Thank
I always
you.
like that when concerts do that when they're telling a story as the songs are going on. That's always something I liked.
Yes, I think that an artist, a musician, a songwriter, a singer, because I'm also a singer, when you do a concert, see a guy that just playing piano and singing his song. I think if you go live, you need to watch something different in the live. So costume is possible
Yeah.
if you have the budget. Also the some background, some also I don't remember the name in English, but not only the background, but also something in the something that you can touch on the stage. So maybe a part of the show. So because I need to Google that because I need this word. Maybe because I believe. Oh, okay. It's like I thought it's scenography.
Mm.
So I put also some scenography if I have the budget to do that because it's cool. I think a concert, the perfect concert is a concert is like a book or like a movie. Go to another dimension. So you watch the concert. It's not just a guy that play his album live, but
Yeah.
another world. So you go through another world. So this is my philosophy in general.
I like that a lot. Those are always my favorite concerts to go to when people are doing that.
Cool. Thank you. Cool. Thank you. Cool. And there is another question from Daniel Carhuman. I don't know. But Rebecca, what's the most challenging costume that you have created?
Definitely the Metropolis robot.
Another question. Maybe also because we are 3 minutes away. Maybe it's time for the last question. My last question. Because we are close for 1 hour. So the last question is there is something that you never played, or maybe something not related with cosplay, because I understand that you're an artist also in other way, because you told me about the custom figure, you like painting, so you like different type of art.
Mhm.
There is something that's still a dream so far, and you want to be in the future, like a big future dream come true.
Yeah, I've got a few. I think I mentioned this briefly, but I really want to get into filmmaking, like making short films and um, editing and special effects, even like
Cool.
actually making special effects. That's a big dream of mine.
Cool. I did some short movie in the past. Was not difficult because if you have the vision to do that, you can do that. Also
Hmm.
because today we have a lot of technological stuff, so you don't need a big troop to do a good short movie.
Yeah,
You need a good aesthetic, a good philosophy, a good vision, and know very well the good way to create your idea, to realize your idea. Because obviously, to do a movie or short movie, you need other people, especially to acting. If you don't want acting yourself, depending on which role you do have. For example, when I did my short movie, I did the soundtrack. I did I was a director, but I never played myself inside because I want tell story of some other people, and then I put myself in every stuff that I do, because I put myself in my show, in my course, I put myself in my YouTube channel. I put myself not in the story of novel. For example, as a writer, I prefer telling story that's not related with my personal life, because I think the writing is a way to discover new stuff, new world, new story, and new people that live in another dimension. So I like that.
I like that.
So thank you so much to enjoy. But now it's time to go to the piano, to the final moment of the show. Thanks for watching, my friends, and thank you to enjoy my episode 38 of Mr. Adam's Super Show. And don't forget to following Rebekah Cox on your social media profile. And thank you, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you, Rebekah, to join with me. If you want to come back in the future, you're welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Also, if you
Oh,
want to come back with your husband, maybe both
oh
dressing
yeah.
as a Master of the Universe character should be cool also.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to tell everybody watching, if you like Masters of the Universe, I'm on a podcast called Fans of Power, where it's me, Joe Amato, Nathan, and Tyler, and we all just talk about Masters of the Universe. And me and my husband have a YouTube channel called Simple Chicks and Nonsense,
So,
where we talk
guys,
about
check it
costumes.
out. Also, this channel and this podcast to enjoy the show. And thank you to everyone. And don't forget, guys, next Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern, Nate Birch will return for the third time on my show to talk about his official poster of Master of the Universe Revelation, and also his works with my favorite action figure line today, Mythic Legions. So thank you, Rebekah. Thank you to all of you
Thanks.
guys, and goodbye to all of you, my friends. Goodbye. Bye,
Bye.
bye, bye.